I think it's touched on the things I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to, before I leave this section, you have been going through school, and sometimes you read something, you don't understand it, isn't it? All you have to do is put where? In the brain, isn't it? And you hope you'll be asked to reproduce it, isn't it? Okay? Good education focuses on understanding. Everything you write, try to understand. My own students, when I go to see them on teaching practice, I see somebody, what is the formula for calculating the area of a circle? Huh? Pi r square. Pi is what? Over 7. How did it come about, this split over 7? Where did it come from? Have you asked your teacher? He's just telling you, isn't it? Are you getting what I'm asking? Huh? A lot of formulae we give people. Huh? Try to go to the Mwalimu, okay? Are you getting me? You know, Mwalimu today, I know you've been learning it through primary, isn't it? Now it is normal, isn't it? Ask my students, you did a very good job, but you never told your students, pi is 22/7. Where did you get 22/7 from? So they have to go back and explain. Because, you know, it's a culture, isn't it? So everything, try to understand. Try to understand. And in a university, if you didn't do well, you didn't understand something in a class, what should you do? Go and see the lecturer, okay? And that also goes with pride. A lot of people don't want to consult. Leave pride alone. Tell the lecturer, hey, Mwalimu, I just want to come. I didn't understand this well, okay? Okay? I'll be mentioning something about it. Okay? The other one is pride. I think he's done a very good job. But the other side of pride, which those of you who go to university will be carrying with you, many of you have done well, isn't it? So you go to the university. I got all A's, isn't it? Isn't it? So I don't have to do this. I don't have to go to class. What you are forgetting, many of those guys you are telling also got what? A's. So there's nothing new you bring to the table. You are proud for no reason, okay? So some students don't go to class. They get surprised at the end of the first semester. When you give them exams, they thought they would get 70, they are getting 40, they are getting 50. Okay? So pride hurts you in academics, in everything in life, okay? That's what I was trying to put. And anger. The most difficult one. That does not again mean you will not be angry. That's what I want to emphasize, okay? You can be very upset. Huh? Okay? What did I do when I was upset? Ongere? Huh? What did I do? I was driving, somebody came, just changed lane, scratched my car. I just sat in the car. I didn't do anything. And he left on his own. Okay? Why did I do that? Because I'm a Christian. I said, because I'm a Christian, isn't it? Other people would have gotten out, isn't it? Why did you do this? I would have said, you must pay for this, isn't it? Yeah. So sometimes you have to do what? Just let go. Okay? As a Christian, let go. As you go up in life, as he says, students will annoy you, colleagues at work will annoy you. They'll talk behind you, and the temptation is to show off, isn't it? Tell them I'm hungry. No. As he says, many of us would like to show that we are angry. Please control what? Anger. Because when you control your anger, you are free. It's no longer in you, okay? It's no longer in you. Okay. Go to the next one, which is very important. This is where, Alex, do you want to talk about those? Because, do you want to talk about those ones? Okay. What I've done here is to put those aspects that you should always monitor as you go through academic life. When I was young, in high school, I'm a scientist myself. There's one subject we had no time for. Who's a scientist here? Scientists have very little respect for languages, isn't it? They think it's not useful, isn't it? That's what they think. What about the other side? The arts people think mathematics isn't useful, isn't it? And we get them in the universities. When you come to the university, everything you'll do, you'll have to write, isn't it? You have to write, you have to communicate. It's only when we grow up, math is tough, there's no doubt about it. It's very abstract. But you must have maths. You cannot run business without maths. Even lawyers who are now in the government, they have to develop a budget, isn't it? They have to do so many things, okay? So as you go through university, there are a lot of things you have to sacrifice and get those skills, okay? And the most important skill, the first three, we can talk about so that I don't have to.
Okay. Now, when you look, just ignore what you see on the screen. Life can be divided into three major domains. the way we think, the way we feel about other people, and what we can do. Now, if you look there, we have got mental, manipulative, and attitudes. Normally, for those who will be studying educational related courses or psychology, we have 3 domains. The 3 domains of learning here, you have cognitive. How do you think? How do you organize ideas? And how do you even store information that you've learned? That's why at some point, when you've been in high school, unasoma kitu, for example, the Jewish expectations of the Messiah. I think in that series there are about 7 points, okay? But after 1 hour, when you try to remember, you find that you cannot remember one. The cognitive ability, it means that your information has been stored in the short-term memory. We will be looking at on how you can study and how you can improve that learning technique such that you don't forget. Because definitely, if cognitive is all about the brain and how you reason, at the moment when I look at you like this one, everybody's a Christian, innocent 100%. Ingia university, najua mutaambiwa na wenzenu wako huko, they'll tell you you can carry some little notes called Mwakenya. Are you aware of the Mwakenya?
Yeah.
Okay, you anajua Mwakenya iko. Now, have you ever tried to use a marks in high school?
Yes.
Yes. It's very interesting. Yeah, even me at some point I tried to write my small notes. And this was interesting because I went with this my small notes to the lecture hall. Na sijui sometimes vitu kufanyikia na sababu fulani. You can imagine a lecturer stood where I was the entire 2 hours. So sikutumia marks. So and even I was asking myself, alijuaje niko nayo? Na hata utapata ajui. So at that point, what happens? You've compromised your cognitive abilities, sindio? Definitely at this point, you've given room for this brain to carry out different things. Now, this is what happens at the university level when you are caught cheating. Yeah, me have caught a number. And when you are caught, it is very serious. Now, this is what happens. You will sign a form. Because you don't want your cognitive ability to work, the mental aspect for you to work for you. So you'll sign a form, you'll be sent home. Can you imagine if you are sent home for, definitely, 3 to 4 years? Not can you imagine, that's what happens. Okay? But when you talk about the mental health, you need to ensure you take care of the mental or the brain itself. You need to sleep. You need to take care of yourself such that you don't overload your brain such that to a point you cannot read and understand. Psychomotor activities. One of your friends said that she'll want to play Legipo and you are laughing, so I don't know what was funny with that one. That is anything that we do by our hands, by our legs, by our head. Definitely that is what about psychomotor activities. Ni vile vitu ambavyo unafanya kwa mkono. Or kwa, let's say the morphological aspect. If you watch football, definitely you see somebody can kick with the leg, with the head, with the chest. For you to manage the psychomotor activities, will you go back to the cognitive? When you write, that's psychomotor. But then, the cognitive aspect is involved. You need to think something, then you write that idea that you have. The most serious thing that we don't even recognize, attitude. It is definitely under what we call the affective domain. And this one can make you succeed or can make you fail in life. How? Let's use a university as an example. Fenye mutaingia hivi utaambiwa lecturer fulani mtihani huyo klasi yake ni mbaya kwanza usiende. So you'll develop an attitude. When I was a first year, I was told that lecturers, they don't mark exam. They draw lines. Unajua university tuko na A, P, C, D and F. Hakuna E. Okay? So, I was told they draw lines. They take the pupils, they throw upwards. Sawa sawa? It's interesting, eh? So, if you ask false at F, hivyo umeanguka. I was even curious, even asked, by then he was a doctor, currently he's a professor, I asked him, how comes I hear you don't mark exams? And I was overseer by then. Then he told me what I can tell you, go read, do your work, maybe at the end of the course you'll tell me. And I did that one exactly. So really when we meet, at least I'm coming from a lecture, he tells me, I told you to read, and you can see. Attitude is what I'm talking about here. When I was a second year that year, I could tell my friends, I want to do my master's. Definitely I become a lecturer. Then they will tell me, wewe tunajua hata school fees, sisi watu tunafukuzwa sasa hizi uchalipa. Okay? Sasa utatoa wapi pesa ya kulipa fee na tunasikia masters usome mpaka umalize ni around $500,000. Ordinary 40,000 ya fee undergraduate uchalipa. Attitude. But definitely I was never discouraged. I kept on working. If you have the right attitude, you can ask a prof here, he can tell you. When I joined masters, I didn't have school fees. What I had is the positive attitude. Mambo ya pesa ilikuja baadaye. So in life, for you to succeed, the most important thing, the affective domain, how you think about other people, how you perceive yourself. If you tell yourself you cannot do it in life, definitely that's the end of the story. Are we together? Are we together? So when you go to university, you know me, I'm talking from the university point of view, not like another person. When you go to university, what you believe is right, work towards that direction and you'll achieve what you want. But if you'll be misled and you join some different or some funny groups, at some time I've seen but I want to imagine when I'll meet you 3 years at your university, you'll be dressing like this. If you're not aware what I'm talking about, me, I've seen some people at Egerton, you admit a student at first year, but when they are at second year, I don't even recognize whether they are my relatives. I admitted one 2 years ago. When we met, amevaa tumbo cut. Nilimwambia ukiniona usinisalimie, and I even don't tell anybody whether you are my relative. Normally, the attitude which you have right now, it may change to be negative, based on the way you want to do things. Now, wacha niwaambie hivi. This one I'm talking for the girls, or for the ladies. The moment you see you've started dressing funly at the university point, know that bride is coming into your life, you are diverting from what fail will be chasing you. Are we together? Okay. Prof, you can proceed.
Yeah, I wanted to just emphasize one or two things. I think Alex has done a very good job. Now, the thing I want to talk about, mental. You can stretch your brain to the maximum. You can stretch it if you decide. Or you can use very little of it in life. I keep on talking to my colleagues at the university. We have people who are PhD in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. They have never made one thing in their lives. Okay? The people you are seeing making space vehicles don't have PhDs. Many of them only have bachelor's degrees. What have they done differently? They've stretched their brains to the maximum. We have talked about jobs. Coming up with the thing you enjoy the most, iPhone, isn't it? My friends here are very busy. That is a work of somebody who stretched his brain. That's all he did. So in life, stretch your brain. I'll be talking about creativity. Creativity. A human being can decide to be creative. The university I went to, the first time I went to the US, I found young people driving some crazy cars. They just sit on it and drive. They were undergraduate students. They had been forced to start a project of their own. By the way, one of them was a Kenyan. Okay? So if you're given a chance in life, stretch your brain, use it. But take care of it, as Alex has said. Practical skills. I think one thing I want to emphasize. Some of you will be involved in learning some skills. You will not know it the first time. You have to practice again and again. Again and again. That's how people drive. That's how you become a good doctor. Okay? Finally, attitude. Nothing is more important, my friends, than attitudes and habits in life. We always complain in Kenya about what? Corruption, isn't it? And corruption is due to what? Bad what? Habits. Bad attitudes, isn't it? You are taking from others. You are greedy, isn't it? You want to get without working, okay? Is that clear? I just want to emphasize, there was a time, you guys perhaps you are too young. I think, Madam, can you remember Clay, what Clay said about some minister in Kenya? Did you hear it? Did you? There was a high commissioner from London. Huh? You know what he said? Some of the ministers in our government are so greedy. Huh? They eat until they vomit on our shoes, okay? Huh? Eat so much that you vomit. Huh? Corruption. If you look at the Bible talks about this all the time. When you are next to the king and there's food, what do? Take care, isn't it? The king might just learn about you from the food, from the greed. And that is all about what? Attitudes and habits. As you go through university, develop the right attitudes, the right habits of studying, of interacting with your people, your colleagues, of dealing with your parents. When you come to your community, have the right attitudes. There will be those who are not as educated as you are. Respect them. Okay? You'll meet poor people. Many of us, when you go through the streets, what happens when you meet a street boy? What happens? Street kid, what do you usually do? What do you do? We go the opposite direction, isn't it? When they ask you for money, you say, leave me alone, isn't it? But these are human beings. They are human beings like you. Okay? Anyway, okay. That's what I want to say.